Welcome to Hobby Clubhouse with a review of the Bandai 1144 Real Grade Zeong, the much anticipated new entry in the RG line. The last time Bandai released an all-new 0079 Zeong suit was the ZGOC, which clearly burned them really bad, leading them to cancel the goof which was teased before, so it's good to see them go back to something from the 1 Year War, and also something not super safe like a Gelgoog or a Dom, but rather the Zeong, which admittedly looks really goofy. And it really hasn't had many radical restyling over the years. Getting right down to business, this kit was released on January 23rd, 2021 in Japan for a price of 6,050 yen, with a bigger effects set bundle for 9,000 yen. The one I have here is a standard release because the big set is really a little bit too pricey for a review. The box CG here is credited to Koji Edo, and the box itself measures 39 by 31 by 11 centimeters, and it's just a bit shy of 2 HG Zeong boxes. And the effects set has similar dimensions, but it is a lot thicker than 11 centimeters. Inside the box, we get the Zeong spread across 18 runners, with the first 11 right here. And then we have the other 7 right here. The only pre-molded frame is this one here with the Zeong's fingers with the exposed black bottoms, which fans in Japan have been a little bit split on whether or not they like this design. You also get 2 lengths of black copper wire for the Zeong's detached arms. Now they're both 2mm thick, and they're exactly the same ones as you get in the HG Zeong kit, both in length and in diameter. Now on top of those, you also get a red wire that's exactly the same size. This one here you have to cut down into 8cm lengths, and then you fit them into the leg booster assembly right here. And they act as an additional mechanical detail. Now it's a little bit odd why they didn't do this in plastic, but of course I don't mean to say that this wire is bad or anything, and it looks really beautiful on the kit. But the Zeong is not all you get in the box. Inside is an entire action base 5 and 2 more of these hexagonal base plates. You also get 2 of these small little stands that come on their own runner, so out of the box you're all set for posing even if you didn't get the special effects set. Next, you get a standard sheet of RG clear stickers with these nice metallic details on them. Now there's a lot of stickers on these and none of them are for color correcting, and I'm gonna skip the placement of each of these for this kit. And the instructions come as a stapled booklet, and it's quite Spartan, with the stickers and color guide on the back, and then nearly all of the inside for assembly instructions except for these little blurbs scattered around the pages for flavor text for the Zeong. So after a bit over 3 hours of assembly, here is a Zeong with the RG Lines' signature multi-tone coloring for areas like the gray, the blue, and even the yellow. The skirt of the Zeong shows clearly that it's split into separate armor pieces, and you get a good sense of it being constructed with different panels. Now this is not a revolutionary design, and this approach was seen as early as 1997 in Gundam the Battle Master on the classic PlayStation. But this is the first time Bandai has incorporated this look into an actual Zeong product. Now unsurprisingly, the color is perfect, since the Zeong doesn't have very complicated colors to begin with. The purple inner lining of the Mega Particle Cannons look really nice, and it's something that the older HG kit sadly didn't cover. And here's another example. This is the leg thruster taken apart into its separate pieces. They come together to make the red inner lining of all the cones, but at the same time they show the red piping from higher above in the assembly. The Zeong is a pretty big boy, and you'll be able to enjoy so much more details like this on it. Now let's take a look at the movable mono eye, which actually turns with the head from side to side. But additionally, you can pull off the top of the head and remove this piece with the rail details. And then the mono eye can swivel upwards to properly show the eyes' full range of movements from the animation. Now you might ask, why would we ever want this piece on at all if it has to be taken out to move the eye upwards? And well, without it, you can see right through the dome of the head and it looks pretty empty and pretty ugly. So normally, you'd want this piece here to fill up that space with some detail. Now here's a gimmick not shown much in the pre-release info. The thrusters on the upper torso actually open up when you bend the Zeong backwards, and also forwards. Now you have to close these back up yourself by hand, which is a little bit anticlimactic, and they must open when you bend the upper torso, so you don't really have a choice in that, and I think this is something not everyone will be a fan of. Now much like any other RG kit, the cockpit hatch opens up here at the front, and you can see a set of doors that should lead further inside, but you don't get to see the actual cockpit. but there is another door on the back of the head, and here you do actually see the back of the pilot's seat for the second cockpit. The front of the seat is actually molded too, but you're never actually going to see it in practice. And you know what? They even molded a small little hatch into the head and the neck where they meet to properly show how Char moved from the torso up into the head during battle. Now, even though the Zeong doesn't come with a pre-molded inner frame, it doesn't mean it doesn't have an inner frame. Looking underneath the skirt armor, you can see the incredible lattice of metal that forms the inner skeleton of the Zeong. And, of course, here's a look at the entire inner frame. The Zeong stays in one piece just fine, and a lot of the outer panels really are just added on top of this frame without a lot of fuss. There's a lot of details suggesting all the inner mechanics of the mobile suit, and it looks really good even just like this. But of course, we also want to see the Zeong's signature Saikomu arms deployed. And here I have a bit of a complaint. So the arms detach real easily and that's all good. But actually the arms must be put back in the correct orientation as signaled by these two horizontal lines. If you make a mistake and you rotate them 90 degrees, if you put them back in, they will get jammed very badly, which happened to me once, and worse yet, it goes in quite easily and then it gets jammed. And because the arms are squared, it's going to be very easy to make this mistake, so be sure to look out for this problem if you have this kit. But with the arms removed, all you have to do is take one of the pieces of black copper wires and plug them into the holes on both ends. And with the forearm, you need to extend it. Now this is not just to look cool, but also to gain access to the holes in the gaps here that attach onto one of the display stands. Overall, it's not a complex mechanism and it's easy to play around with, and you're gonna want to do this on a whim. The head comes off too, as you'd expect, and it attaches onto the body with an octagonal peg, and the orientation does matter, so make sure you don't force the head back on. The thrusters on the head can pivot along a single axis a little bit, which the older HG kit sadly didn't do. Now you might have a eureka moment here and think, oh, hexagonal hole? That must mean that it also works with the hexagonal peg on the action base. Nope. Weirdly, the head does not work with any of the connections except for the ones here for the arm, which can hold it up, but only very loosely, and really that's an oversight if I've ever seen one. So you can pose the body, you can pose the arms, and you cannot pose the head in any way with the included action base stands. Next, let's look at the articulated skirt. Starting at the front, the panels lift up and outwards. From this position, you can adjust the angles a little bit to your liking. The side panel lifts up and outwards, and this one here swings along a single axis. The one behind it pops off the peg, and then you can adjust it. Then the flap at the back can swing up a little bit. And with all this done, this gives us the Zeong with the skirt armor fully opened up. Now the design here deserves the praise for how well the panels stay attached. Now you can unhook the pieces and angle them however you like, and they're not going to fall off even if you're a little bit rough with them. And I think that's true overall for the Zeong. Nothing on it will fall off or fall apart, and many RG kits really love falling apart, but for the Zeong, no such worries here. Now another thing new to the RG kits are these landing gears, and putting them on is as simple as pulling off this panel at the front, and then these two panels at the back. And then you add in these extended leg pieces before reattaching them back onto the Zeong. And this way the Zeong doesn't have to rest on the thruster bells underneath the skirt, which you actually can't do since the bottom of the skirt isn't actually level. The landing gear makes the Zeong so much more sensible even though it's such a small thing. To connect the Zeong to an action base, you actually have two choices. First, you can use this included adapter which goes in between the landing gear plates that we just saw, and this gives you a 4mm square hole that you need. Another choice is to take off this panel at the back of the skirt armor, which exposes another one of these holes, which is thoughtfully included so you can pose the Zeong with the thrusters facing forward and not have the action base be in the way. So you know the engineers at Bandai really cared about the Zeong with small features like this. As for weapons, it's the Zeong, so there aren't any. Everything is built into the body of the mobile suit, and the articulated fingers really can't hold anything. But there are two little slots here in case Bandai wants to make the perfect Zeong someday, which I think they will, and it's gonna include the sword. Now here's the new Zeong with the HG number 22 Zeong from 2001, so 2 decades apart. And the two vary incredibly in their proportions, with the RG head being a lot smaller, the HG's chest being way larger and closer to the original animation look. And then the RG's waist being a lot slimmer, and it's visually distinct and separate from the torso overall. And the new skirt is wider than the HG one, but that difference gets even more crazy if you look at it from below. The RG skirt is overall so much bigger than the HG kit, which was already quite big. The arms are also bigger now than before. Both the forearm and the palms are visibly larger. But if you own the HG Zeong, which there is a review of it here by the way, you'll notice that the RG is actually constructed kinda similarly, like how the waist arches upwards along with the help of the swiveling neck base, and this design is inherited entirely by the RG Zeong. The RG kit is far more aggressively proportioned, and many are gonna like this a whole lot more, but I think there's always gonna be room for the more anime accurate and classic look of the HG kit. So let's look at the articulation. Starting from the top, the head itself can look up and down thanks to the neck. It can turn side to side, but only about 45 degrees each way because of the Monoize's gears inside, so you can't actually turn the head a full circle. Now this neck assembly we already know can also rock back and forth, and this works in tandem with the entire waist section to allow an impressive 90-degree bend to put the Zeong into a flying position. It's just as impressive moving forward as well, so the giant thrusters underneath the skirt armor really are quite practical on this kit, and this is something no other Zeong kit or figure has captured thus far, so that's a very good job from the RG Zeong. The arms can pivot forward and backwards, and the entire joint pulls out to help with the movement of this despite the giant shoulder armor. And those very shoulder armors themselves swivel upwards, and the tips of them fold up a little further. Now the arms only swing upwards around 90 degrees, and you can get it up a little bit more if you use the shoulder joint, but that's about it. The arms can swing a full circle as long as you avoid the long red blade antenna. The biceps let you do a full circle, and the elbow is double jointed and can fold 180 degrees, but it's gonna fold less with the bulky arms that get in the way. The palms are on a ball joint, so you can adjust the angle, and you can rotate them a full circle. The hands can fold inwards as well, but it does pull the ball joint off the socket a little bit, so be gentle if you're gonna do this. Each finger is individually articulated with a ball joint at the base, and then it has 2 swivel joints along each finger. And while we're here, the fingers have these little notches on them, and right smack in the middle is a gate from the runner, so when you build this kit, make sure not to chop off these little notches too by mistake. The big leg thrusters rotate on 2 axes, so you can angle them as you please. And these thrusters on the back can swing along a single axis, but they do also rotate a little bit on the peg that they're attached with. So overall, this has the best articulation of any Zeong kit by far, but you know what? The HG kit didn't exactly set a very high bar to pass. I think it does everything you can reasonably ever want to do with a Zeong, and you can do lots of goofy things with the expressive hands too, but you know what, I'll leave that to Mecha Kaikatsu's review. But it gets top marks for articulation here, and there are no annoying structural problems that come with all this articulation. But there is something I don't like about the kit, and it's that the finger holes actually don't work with beam saber effect parts. Now the HG ones will go in, but they're way too loose and they're gonna fall right out. And the MG ones don't go in at all, so annoyingly they're only gonna accept the newer beam effect parts that you buy separately, late. Now some fingers can accept the beam saber parts and some don't, which doesn't make this problem any better. So while we're on the subject, do you really need the special effects bundle, or can you just go with this standard kit? Now I think the special effects kit looks good, but you're adding close to half the price of this entire kit for something you're likely only going to display once and then never again. Now I'm pretty sure the standard kit will make most people very happy, and you won't miss the extra stuff much unless it's something you specifically want or need. With all that said, here's a Hobby Clubhouse 3-point verdict on the Bandai 1144 Real Grade Zeong. Number 1. It's beautiful and sturdy all at once. Now, all RG kits are beautiful, but not all RG kits are sturdy. Heck, most of them aren't sturdy. The Zeong is top of its class, and you can't get stuff to fall off even if you tried. So if you're worried about this having the usual RG woes, then worry no more and you can buy this with confidence. Number 2, it's not a boring humanoid kit. We've got plenty of regular looking RG kits, and it's about time we got something as weird and as goofy as the Zeong. But really, I think the RG Zeong also qualifies for that as well, but no one bought that, and Bandai ended up being all passive aggressive about it like some angry girlfriend. So it's good that we now have the Zeong and it's selling out all over Japan. Now, main character MSs are nice like the 00, but we need some love for the really odd stuff as well. Number 3, it's a perfect Zeong. I'm sorry, I had to. But this really is the best rendition of the Zeong above any kit or any figure produced up to this day. If you like anything about the Zeong, the RG's design highlights it in a way that'll make you very happy, like the crazy amount of details inside the leg thrusters or the opening skirt. But, of course, if you don't like the MS that much to begin with, then this kit probably won't change your mind. Even if it is the perfect Zeong, it's still a Zeong, and it still looks pretty goofy. So that's the review of the RG Zeong. It's a wonderful addition to the RG lines where the designers clearly worked very hard to make this kit worthy of the MS bearing the Zeong namesake. Thank you so much for watching. Come look us up on social media with updates and sneak peeks on upcoming videos and projects. Links are in the description below. Or hang out here some more and go check out the HG Zeong's review as well. But before you go, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to be notified of new videos from Hobby Clubhouse, and I'll see you next time.